All I have to say is that when Obama was president, we had no idea what Ted Cruz jerked off to.
And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man.
That's right.
Of the seed of man.
The word seed is sperm, and sperm comes through having sex.
It's shut out of your father's rod,
right.
To put it in layman terms, in his penis.
That's right.
That means a man put his penis in a woman and bust off in it.
Then the angel said to him, "Take out the entrails of this fish, and lay up his heart and his gall and his liver for thee. For these are necessary for useful medicines."
The rest of the chapters of the book of Esther,
Go ahead.
which are found neither in the Hebrew nor in the Chaldee.
Greetings, fellow worker slaves, podcasting at 128 kilobits from the Fortress of Squalitude. This is the Atheist in the Trailer Park podcast. I'm your host, Tucker. Professor Fuzznuts is lurking about, as is Buttons. I have a feeling they will attack me here shortly and demand attention. Yes, it's a podcast hosted by a guy. These cats, get over it. And this is another Solo Me Apocrypha episode. I would have looked into getting a guest for this week, but I just didn't have the time, and I wasn't sure what I was going to be doing on Saturday when I normally record. My 20 or 30 year high school reunion was yesterday. I couldn't go because I don't have a car and I don't have any money, but I thought there was a possibility that my mom would offer to pay for me to come up, but she didn't, which is fine. I didn't pressure her or even ask her to. And there was also an atheist meetup in Nashville yesterday, which I ultimately ended up not going to because I wasn't feeling well. So here I am by myself recording again. Story of my life. But I won't get too maudlin over the fact that I didn't get to see people who I haven't seen in 30 years in some cases, or that I didn't get to go and hang out with a bunch of atheists, including some really cool ones. You know, nothing I could do to change it, so no point in complaining about it. Nothing really new happening here of late. Still able to stockpile the wood at work. I'm hoping to get the last of it home this week sometime, and then I can really start working on that deck. I had hoped to cut up what I've got today, but I just wasn't able to get around to it. I have so much other stuff to do. And Fuzznuts is creeping in my direction. Alright, yeah, there's nothing really. I hate that I do a whole week of shit. All seems vitally important at the time, and then, of course, you know, days later, it's like, I can't remember anything I fucking did. How could it have been important? But since I can't remember, let's go ahead and get back to the whole lovely mess of the second book of Baruch. When we last left our hero Baruch, he had starved himself, gotten some visions of God, and gone back to his people to tell them about it. And I, Baruch, went there and came to the people and assembled them together from the greatest to the least, and said unto them, Hear you, children of Israel, behold how many you who remain of the 12 tribes of Israel. For to you and to your fathers the Lord gave a law more excellent than to all peoples. And because your brethren transgressed the commandments of the Most High, he brought vengeance upon you and upon them. And he spared not the former, and the latter also he gave into captivity. And he left not a residue of them. But behold, you are here with me. If therefore you direct your ways aright, ye also shall not depart as your brethren departed, but they shall come to you. For he is merciful whom you worship. Really? I find that hard to believe. And he is gracious in whom you hope. And he is true, so that he shall do good and not evil. Have you not seen here what has befallen Zion? Or do you perchance think that the place had sinned, and that on this account it was overthrown? Or that the land had wrought foolishness, and that therefore it was delivered up? And know you not that on account of you who did sin, that which sinned was not overthrown? And on account of those who wrought wickedly, that which wrought not foolishness was delivered up to its enemies? So that kind of sounds like God's punishing the good. And the whole people answered and said unto me, so far as we can recall, the good things which the Mighty One has done unto us, we do recall them, and those things which we do not remember, he in his mercy knows. Nevertheless, do this for us, your people. Write also to our brethren in Babylon an epistle of doctrine and a scroll of hope, that you may confirm them also before you do depart from us. For the shepherds of Israel have perished, and the lamps which gave light are extinguished, and the fountains have withheld their stream whence we used to drink. And we are left in the darkness amid the trees of the forest, and the thirst of the wilderness. And I answered and said unto them, shepherds and lamps and fountains come from the law. And though we depart, yet the law abides. If therefore you have respect to the law, and are intent upon wisdom, a lamp will not be wanting, and a shepherd will not fail, and a fountain will not dry up. Nevertheless, as you said unto me, I will write also unto your brethren in Babylon, and I will send by means of men, and I will write in like manner to the 9 tribes and a half. Again, how do you have half a tribe? And send by means of a bird. And it came to pass, drink, on the 21st day in the 8th month. So why can't you just say the 21st day of the 8th month, that I, Baruch, came and sat down under the oak, under the shadow of the branches, and no man was with me, but I was alone. And I wrote these 2 epistles. One I sent by an eagle to the 9.5 tribes. How the fuck do you send one bird to 9.5 tribes with one message? I mean, forget the whole logistics of telling the bird, okay, you go to these guys over here, and then you go to those guys over there, and you go to the... Forget that. How do you, when the bird gets to the first guy, does it have a note? Okay, tell the bird, after you've read the scroll, to go to these other dudes. How do you tell it, okay, this tribe is in Babylon, go there. I don't know. And again, what is a half a tribe? And the other I sent to those that were at Babylon by means of 3 men. Okay. And I called the eagle and spoke these words unto it. The Most High hath made you that you should be higher than all birds. And now go and tarry not in any place, nor enter a nest, nor settle upon any tree, till you have passed over the breadth of the many waters of the river Euphrates, and have gone to the people that dwell there, and cast down to them this epistle. So he's not going to land, he's just going to drop it. Moreover, that at the time of the deluge, Noah received from a dove the fruit of the olive, when he sent it forth from the ark. Yea, also the ravens ministered to Elijah, bearing him food as they had been commanded. Solomon also, in the time of his kingdom, whithersoever he wished to send or seek for anything, commanded a bird to go thither, and it obeyed him as he commanded it. And now let it not weary you, and not turn to the right hand nor the left, birds don't have hands, but fly and go by a direct way, that you may preserve the command of the Mighty One, according as I said unto you. I'm sure that eagle was enthralled by this. These are the words of that epistle which Baruch, the son of Neriah, sent to the 9.5 tribes. Again, how do you have half a tribe? Which were across the river Euphrates, in which these things were written. Thus says Baruch, the son of Neriah, to the brethren carried into captivity. Mercy and peace. I bear in mind, my brethren, the love of him who created us, who loved us from of old, and never hated us. But he destroyed our cities, had us captured and carried off and enslaved. But above all, educated us, And truly I know that, behold, all we, the 12 tribes, where's the other 2.5 come from, are bound by one bond, inasmuch as we are born from one Father. Wherefore I have been the more careful to leave you the words of this epistle before I die, that you may be comforted regarding the evils which have come upon you, and that you may be grieved also regarding the evil that has befallen your brethren. And again, also that you may justify his judgment, which he hath decreed against you, that you should be carried away captive, for what you have suffered is disproportioned to what you have done. So he's admitting that, yeah, you've done some things, but you're going to suffer more for them than what you really deserve, in order that at the last times you may be found worthy of your fathers. Therefore, if you consider that ye have now suffered those things for your good, that you may not finally be condemned and tormented, then you will receive eternal hope. I'm beating you for your own good. It'll hurt me more than it will you. If above all you destroy from your heart vain error, on account of which you departed hence, for if you so do these things, he will continually remember you, he who always promised on our behalf to those who were more excellent than we, that he will never forget or forsake us, but with much mercy will gather together again those who were dispersed. Yeah, no. No. It's not believable, guys. Now, my brethren, learn first what befell Zion, how that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against us. For we have sinned against him who made us, and we have not kept the commandments which he commanded us. Yet he hath not chastened us as we deserved. Oh, right. For what befell you, we also suffer in preeminent degree, for it befell us also. And now, my brethren, I make known unto you that when the enemy had surrounded the city, the angels of the Most High were sent, and they overthrew the fortifications of the strong wall, and they destroyed the firm iron corners, which could not be rooted out. Nevertheless, they hid all the vessels of the sanctuary, lest the enemy should get possession of them. And when they had done these things, they delivered thereupon to the enemy the overthrown wall, and the plundered house, and the burnt temple, and the people who were overcome because they were delivered up, lest the enemy should boast and say, Thus by force have we been able to lay waste even the house of the Most High in war. Your brethren also have they bound and led away to Babylon, and have caused them to dwell there. But we have been left here, being very few. This is the tribulation about which I wrote to you. For assuredly I know that the consolation of the inhabitants of Zion consoles you. So far as you knew that it was prospered, your consolation was greater than the tribulation which you endured in having to depart from it. Somehow, I think being driven out of your home country is far worse than being able to say to yourself, well, at least some of us got to stay. But regarding consolation, hear the word. For I was mourning regarding Zion, and I prayed for mercy from the Most High. And I said, How long will these things endure for us? And will these evils come upon us always? And the Mighty One did according to the multitude of his mercies. And the Most High according to the greatness of his compassion. And he revealed unto me the word, that I might receive consolation. And he showed me visions, that I should not again endure anguish. And he made known to me the mystery of the times, and the advent of the hours he showed me. Therefore, my brethren, I have written to you, that you may comfort yourselves regarding the multitude of your tribulations. For you know that our Maker will assuredly avenge us on all our enemies, according to all that they have done to us. Also that the consummation which the Most High will make is very nigh, and his mercy that is coming, and the consummation of his judgment is by no means far off. Well, that could be anything. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be next year, it could be 5 years. It's not exactly a specific date. For lo, we now see the multitude of the prosperity of the Gentiles, though they act impiously. But they shall be like a vapor, and we behold the multitude of their power, though they do wickedly. But they shall be made like unto a drop. And we see the firmness of their might, though they resist the mighty one every hour, but they shall be accounted as spittle. And we consider the glory of their greatness, though they do not keep the statutes of the Most High, but as smoke shall they pass away. And we meditate on the beauty of their gracefulness, though they have to do with pollutions. But as grass that withers shall they fade away. And we consider the strength of their cruelty, though they remember not the end thereof, but as a wave that passes shall they be broken. And we remark the boastfulness of their might, though they deny the benefits of God who gave it to them, but they shall pass away as a passing cloud. Okay, I have got to look a couple of things up now. Okay, so what I looked up was just how long Babylon was around. And Babylon is one of those places, sort of like Egypt, where you have the empire, it collapses, it's rebuilt centuries later. So the actual time of this particular Babylonian empire that conquers the Jews is only about 125 years, so that's a fairly modest extent. However, previous incarnations of the Babylonian Empire had been around for, a couple hundred years. Let's see here. Yeah, it's about 300 years. It's not a nice round even date, so I'm not going to be subtracting it in my head. And it was during part of that 125-year period or so that the Jews were captive. And they were, I think, 60 years. Wasn't a huge hunk of time. And they didn't so much die out. You know, the empire didn't collapse. They were conquered by the Persians. So they became absorbed into the Persian Empire, which was then strong. And, the Persian Empire that conquered Babylon is the same Persian Empire that menaced the Greeks and led to the movie 300. All right. Back to the text. For the Most High will assuredly hasten his times, and he will assuredly bring on his hours, and he will assuredly judge those who are in his world, and will visit in truth all things by means of all their hidden works. And he will assuredly examine the secret thoughts and that which is laid up in the secret chambers of all the members of Mail. And that is M-A-I-L. And will make them manifest in the presence of all with reproof. Let none therefore of these present things ascend into your hearts, but above all let us be expectant, because that which is promised to us shall come. And let us not now look unto the delights of the Gentiles in the present, but let us remember what has been promised to us in the end. For the ends of the times and the seasons and whatsoever is with them shall assuredly pass by together. The consummation, moreover, of the age shall then show the great might of its ruler when all things come to judgment. Do you therefore prepare your hearts for that which before you believed, lest you come to be in bondage in both worlds, so that you be led away captive here and be tormented there, for that which exists now, or which has passed away, or which is to come, and all these things neither is the evil fully evil, nor again the good fully good. So this is kind of sounding like he's saying God's going to come, he's going to kick everybody's ass, and then he's going to totally remake the world in some manner. Whether it be, good people go to heaven, the bad people go to hell. Not that they really had those beliefs at that time, but you get the idea. For all the healthiness of this time are turning into diseases, and all might of this time is turning into weakness, and all the force of this time is turning into impotence, and every energy of youth is turning into old age and consummation. And every beauty of gracefulness of this time is turning faded and hateful, and every proud dominion of the present is turning into humiliation and shame. And every praise of the glory of this time is turning into the shame of silence, and every vain splendor and insolence of this time is turning into voiceless ruin, and every delight and joy of this time is turning to worms and corruption. And every clamor of the pride of this time is turning into dust and stillness. And every possession of riches of this time is being turned into Sheol alone. And all the rapine of possession of this time is turning into involuntary death. And every passion of the lusts of this time is turning into a judgment of torment. And every artifice and craftiness of this time is turning into a proof of the truth. And every sweetness of unguents of this time is turning into judgment and condemnation. So they're talking about sweet oil. Couldn't remember what unguent meant. And every love of lying is turning to contumately through truth. The fuck does contumately mean? Insolent or insultage language or treatment. Huh. That's an odd turn of a phrase. I learned a thing! I'm so happy. Since therefore all these things are done now, does anyone think that they will not be avenged? But the consummation of all things will come to the truth. That's a meaningless sentence. Behold, I have therefore made known unto you these things whilst I live. For I have said it, that you should learn the things that are excellent. For the Mighty One hath commanded me to instruct you, and I will set before you some of the commandments of his judgment before I die. Remember that formerly Moses assuredly called heaven and earth to witness against you, and said, if you transgress the law, you shall be dispersed. But if you keep it, you shall be kept. And other things also he used to say unto you when you, the 12 tribes, were together in the desert. And after his death you cast them away from you. On this account there came upon you what had been predicted. And now Moses used to tell you before they befell you, and lo, they have befallen you, for you have forsaken the law. Lo, I also say unto you, after you have suffered, that if you obey those things which have been said unto you, you will receive from the Mighty One whatever has been laid up and reserved for you. Moreover, let this epistle be for a testimony between me and you, that you may remember you will receive from the Mighty One whatever has been laid up and reserved for you. Moreover, fucking repeated myself here. Moreover, let this epistle be for a testimony between me and you, that you may remember the commandments of the Mighty One, and that also there may be to me a defense in the presence of him who sent me. And remember you the law and Zion and the Holy Land and your brethren and the covenant of your fathers, and forget not the festivals and the Sabbaths. And deliver this epistle and the traditions of the law to your sons after you, as also your fathers delivered them to you. And at all times make request perseveringly, and pray diligently with your whole heart, that the Mighty One may be reconciled to you, and that he may not reckon the multitude of your sins, but remember the rectitude of your fathers. For if he judge us not according to the multitude of his mercies, woe unto all of us who are born. Know moreover that in former times and in the generations of old our fathers had helpers, righteous men and holy prophets. No more we were in our own land, and they helped us when we sinned. And that is that of that book. Okay, since we're less than a half hour into this thing, and it looks like the third book of Baruch is short, we're going to jump on into that. The Greek Apocalypse of Baruch, or Third Baruch. Prologue. A narrative and revelation of Baruch concerning those ineffable things which he saw by command of God. Bless thou, O Lord. A revelation of Baruch, who stood upon the river Gel, weeping over the captivity of Jerusalem, when also Abimelech was preserved by the hand of God at the farm of Agrippa. And he was sitting thus at the beautiful gates where the Holy of Holies lay. Verily, I, Baruch, was weeping in my mind and sorrowing on account of the people, and that Nebuchadnezzar the king was permitted by God to destroy his city, saying, Lord, why didst thou set on fire thy vineyard and lay it waste? why didst thou do this? And why, Lord, didst thou not requite us with another chastisement, but didst deliver us to nations such as these, so that they reproach us and say, where is their God? And behold, as I was weeping and saying such things, I saw an angel of the Lord coming and saying to me, Understand, O man, greatly beloved, and troubled not thyself so greatly concerning the salvation of Jerusalem. For thus saith the Lord God, the Almighty, for he sent me before thee to make known and to show to thee all the things of God. For thy prayer was heard before him, and entered into the ears of the Lord God. And when he had said these things to me, I was silent. And the angel said to me, Cease to provoke God, and I will show thee other mysteries greater than these. And I, Baruch, said, As the Lord God liveth, if thou wilt show me, and I hear a word of thine, I will not continue to speak any longer. God shall add to my judgment in the day of judgment if I speak hereafter. And the angel of the powers said to me, Come, and I will show thee the mysteries of God. So basically, he's telling God, hey, show me, give me the answers, and I won't tell anybody about them, because if I do, you're going to treat me like shit. And yet, he does tell people, if you believe this crap. And essentially, all right, one of the things that is sort of alluded to, is not really alluded to, I should say, but one of the things is that Babylon, as the Babylonian Empire in this form, happens in 605 BCE, when Nebuchadnezzar becomes king. He decides, I'm going to fucking take back the country, and he does. And then in 597, so just a few years later, he takes Jerusalem. And then for 10 years, they deport the Jews to Babylon. And then in 539, they're allowed to go back home. No, yeah, because Cyrus the Great captures Babylon. So, this really sounds like it was written well after the events it supposedly describes. And now, let's get to the details, shall we? The first heaven. And he took me and led me where the firmament has been set fast. That would be the sky. So he took him up to the top of Mount Everest, and where there was a river which no one can cross, nor any strange breeze of all those things which God created. So in other words, they don't stink like the earth. And he took me and led me to the first heaven, and showed me a door of great size. And he said to me, Let us enter through it. And we entered it, as though borne on wings, a distance of about 30 days' journey. And he showed me within the heaven a plain, and there were men dwelling thereon, with the faces of 4 oxen. Whoa! That's some good drugs. And the horns of stags, and the feet of goats, and the haunches of lambs. And I, Baruch, asked the angel, Make known to me, I pray thee, what is the thickness of the heaven in which we journeyed? Or what is its extent? Or what is the plain, in order that I may also tell the sons of men? Which you earlier said you weren't going to do. And the angel, whose name is Famel, said to me, The door which thou seest is the door of heaven, and as great as is the distance from earth to heaven, so great also is its thickness. And again, as great is the distance from north to south, so great is the length of the plain which thou didst see. And again, the angel of the power said to me, Come, and I will show thee greater mysteries. But I said, Pray thee, show me what are these men. And he said to me, These are they who built the tower of strife against God, and the Lord banished them. So, if we take into account facts of geography which were unknown to the authors, the distance of the plane from one end to the other would have been 12,430 miles. Since the distance, it says the plane is as great as the distance from the north to the south, and the distance from the North Pole to the South Pole is 12,430 miles. And apparently, even the people who built the Tower of Babel get to go to heaven. And the angel of the Lord took me and led me to a second heaven. And he showed me there also a door like the first, and said, "Let us enter through it." And we entered, being borne on wings, a distance of about 60 days' journey. And he showed me there also a plain, and it was full of men whose appearance was like that of dogs, and whose feet were like those of stags. And I asked the angel, "I pray thee, Lord, say to me who these are." And he said, "These are they who gave counsel to build the tower, for they whom thou seest drove forth multitudes of both men and women to make bricks, among whom a woman making bricks was not allowed to be released in the hour of childbirth, but brought forth while she was making bricks, and carried her child in her apron, and continued to make bricks. And the Lord appeared to them and confused their speech when they had built the tower to the height of 463 cubits. Let's just figure out how much that is in something normal. So, the cubit measurement works out to about 694 feet, or 7 stories. Now, if you recall, in Doan's book, where he talks about the Tower of Babylon, he points out that it's actually an astronomical observatory, and the stories of the tower, because it is 7 stories tall, correspond to the known planets. And I think it's the sun as well. I forget, but, it was an astronomical tower. They climbed up to the top of it to observe the stars, to figure out the calendar, and they gave it its height an astronomical meaning by putting 7 floors there. So it's a model of the heavens upon the earth. Okay, back to the text. And they took a gimlet. What's a gimlet? What's a gimlet? Gimlet, come on, find it. Search the Googles for gimlet. A small screw-tip tool for boring holes. Oh, so that's a gimlet. I learned something else today, too. And sought to pierce the heaven, saying, "Let us see whether the heaven is made of clay, or of brass, or of iron." When God saw this, he did not permit them, but smote them with blindness and confusion of speech, and rendered them as thou seest. Now, let me point out that, the folks that do the manual labor, again, get shat upon, because they're only in the first heaven, while the professionals, the architects, the supervisors, the foremen, the accountants, all those guys, they made it to second heaven. So they're a little better off. And I, Baruch, said, "Behold, Lord, thou didst show me great and wonderful things, and now show me all things for the sake of the Lord." And the angel said to me, "Come, let us proceed." And I proceeded with the angel from that place about 185 days' journey. And he showed me a plain and a serpent, which appeared to be 200 plethora in length. What the fuck is a plethora as far as measurement goes? Let's hit the Googles. It's 101 feet. And he showed me Hades, which is located in third heaven. So again, it's still better off than the poor working schlubs. And its appearance was dark and abominable. And I said, "Who is this dragon, and who is this monster around him?" And the angel said, "The dragon is he who eats the bodies of those who spend their life wickedly, and he is nourished by them. And this is Hades, which itself also closely resembles him, in that it also drinks about a cubit from the sea, which does not sink at all." And Baruch said, "And how does this happen?" And the angel said, "Hearken, the Lord God made 360 rivers, of which the chief of are all Alphaeus, Baruch, the Geraseus, and because of these, the sea does not sink. I do not recognize any of those rivers, so let's just see what we can find out. Guess what? There ain't nothing that comes up in an easy Google search for Alphaeus. Let's try Baruch. Nope. Let me just add river to that search term. And everything I'm getting on this says it is... I'm just going to assume that all these rivers are just bullshit names that only exist in this book, because that seems to be, when there's a reference to them, to a Baruch, it comes back to this. Now, let's see here. The 3 largest rivers in the world, well, let's see, we'll go with longest. We have the Amazon, the Nile, and the Yangtze. Only the Nile could have possibly been known to the author of this. Now, the list of rivers that have the most water in them are the Amazon, the Congo, and the Ganges. None of which could have been known of by the author of this text. So, I mean, you know, here we have a beautiful moment. This actually could be where somebody could say, see, this proves this is the valid word of God, because he's talking about 3 rivers which are not really named anywhere, and the 3 rivers which meet that definition. And we'll go with volume of water because, you know, you're talking about keeping the level of the seas the same. You would need a large volume of water flowing into them. So it would have to be 3 rivers not known to the author. That proves God was there and talked to him and did all this shit. Bullshit, I know, but that would be the thing. And I said, I pray thee, show me which is the tree which led Adam astray. And the angel said to me, it is the vine, which the angel Samael planted, whereat the Lord God was angry, and he cursed him and his plant, while also on this account he did not permit Adam to touch it, and therefore the devil, being envious, deceived him through his vine. Well, that's a bit of a contradiction with Genesis. And I, Baruch, said, since also the vine has been the cause of such great evil, and is under judgment of the curse of God, and was the destruction of the first created, how is it now so useful? And the angel said, thou askest aright. When God caused the deluge upon earth, and destroyed all flesh, and 409,000 giants, and the water rose 15 cubits above the highest mountains. Then the water entered into paradise and destroyed every flower. But it removed wholly without the bounds of the shoot of the vine and cast it outside. And when the earth appeared out of the water and Noah came out of the ark, he began to plant of the plants which he had found. But he found also the shoot of the vine, and he took it, and was reasoning in himself, what then is it? And I came and spake to him the things concerning it. And he said, shall I plant it, or what shall I do? Since Adam was destroyed because of it, let me not also meet with the anger of God because of it. And saying these things, he prayed to me what I shall do concerning this plant. And he prayed that God would reveal to him what he should do concerning it. And when he had completed the prayer, which lasted 40 days, God damn, that's a long-winded fuck, and having besought many things and wept, he said, Lord, I entreat thee to reveal to me what I shall do concerning this plant. But God sent his angel, Sarasel, and said to him, arise, Noah, and plant the shoot of the vine, for thus saith the Lord, its bitterness shall be changed into sweetness, and its curse shall become a blessing, and that which is produced from it shall become the blood of God. And as through it the human race obtained condemnation, so again through Jesus Christ, oh yes, this was definitely not written when they're claiming it was, the Emmanuel, will they receive insatiably the wine which was begotten of it, transgress worse than Adam, and are far from the glory of God, and are surrendering themselves to the eternal fire. For no good comes through it. For those who drink it, to surf it, do these things. Neither does a brother pity his brother, nor a father his son, nor children their parents. But from the drinking of wine come all evils, such as murders, adulteries, fornications, perjuries, thefts, and such like. And nothing good is established by it. Okay, so whoever wrote this, whenever this was written, and let me just Google this shit and see if we can figure out when it was written. So, this appears to be an attempt to bookend the book of Genesis with G-Bus, because it's saying Eve got Adam drunk, and all these horrible things happened in the world because of wine. And then Christ redeems wine by making it his blood. Of course, if I'm standing there and they're saying, yeah, all this bad shit's going to happen if you plant that vine, I would be inclined not to plant that vine, no matter what would happen centuries later. And I, Baruch, said to the angel, let me ask thee one thing, Lord. Since thou didst say to me that the dragon drinks 1 cubit out of the sea, say to me also, how great is his belly? And the angel said, his belly is Hades, and as far as a plummet is thrown by 300 men, so great is his belly. Come then, that I may show thee also greater works than these. And he took me and led me to where the sun goes forth. And he showed me a chariot and 4, under which burnt a fire. And in the chariot was sitting a man wearing a crown of fire, and the chariot was drawn by 40 angels. And behold, a bird circling before the sun about 9 cubits away. And I said to the angel, what is this bird? And he said to me, this is the guardian of the earth. And I said, Lord, how is he the guardian of the earth? Teach me. And the angel said to me, this bird flies alongside of the sun, and expanding his wings receives its fiery rays. For if he were not receiving them, the human race would not be preserved, nor any other living creature. But God appointed this bird thereto, and he expanded his wings, and I saw on his right wing very large letters, as large as the space of a threshing floor, the size of about 4,000 modi. A modi is roughly 9 liters. And the letters were of gold, and the angel said to me, read them. And I read them, and they ran thus. Neither earth nor heaven bring me forth, but wings of fire bring me forth. And I said, Lord, what is this bird, and what is his name? And the angel said to me, he is called Phoenix. Obviously, they're trying to get the Greeks and the Romans on board with this book. And I said, what does he eat? And he said to me, the manna of heaven and the dew of the earth. And I said, does the bird excrete? And he said to me, he excretes a worm, and the excrement of the worm is sediment, which kings and princes use. Oh, Jesus, I'll never be able to look at cinnamon in the same way again. But wait, and thou shalt see the glory of God. And while he was conversing with me, there was a thunderclap, and the place was shaken on which we were standing. And I asked the angel, my Lord, what is his sound? And the angel said to me, even now the angels are opening the 365 gates, 1 gate for every day, of heaven, and the light is being separated from the darkness. And a voice came which said, light giver, give to the world radiance. And when I heard the noise of the bird, I said, Lord, what is this noise? And he said, this is the bird who awakens from the slumber, the cocks upon the earth. Oh, Jesus, there's so many potential show titles from all this shit. For as men do through the mouth, so also does the cock signify to those in the world. In his own speech, for the sun is made ready by the angels, and the cock crows. And I said, Where does the sun begin its labors after the cock crows? And the angel said to me, Listen, Baruch, all things whatsoever I showed thee are in the first and second heaven, and in the third heaven the sun passes through and gives light to the world. But wait, and thou shalt see the glory of God. And while I was conversing with him, I saw the bird, and he appeared in front and grew less and less, and at length returned to his full size, and behind him I saw the shining sun, and the angels which draw it, and a crown upon its bead, the light of which we were not able to gaze upon. And behold, as soon as the sun shone, the phoenix also stretched out his wings. But when I beheld such great glory, was brought low with great fear, and I fled and hid in the wings of the angel. And the angel said to me, Hey, what are you doing back there? Fear not, Baruch, but wait, and thou shalt also see their setting. Now, why the fuck does God need to create a bird to protect the earth from the sun? Why doesn't he just create a less powerful sun or move the sun farther away from the earth? The only reason you would do this is if you're trying to incorporate somebody else's mythology into your own, thereby getting them to sign up. And he took and led me towards the west. And when the time of the setting sun came, I saw again the bird coming before it. And as soon as lie came, I saw the angels, and they lifted the crown from its head, but the bird stood exhausted and with wings contracted. And beholding these things, I said, Lord, wherefore did they lift the crown from the head of the sun? And wherefore is the bird so exhausted? And the angel said to me, The crown of the sun, when it has run through the day, 4 angels take it and bear it up to heaven. But you're already in fucking heaven. Oh, I know. You're in coach, and it has to be in first class. And renew it, because it and its rays have been defiled upon the earth. Oh yes, us scummy earthlings, we fuck up the sun. Moreover, it is so renewed each day. And I, Baruch, said, Lord, wherefore are its beams defiled upon earth? And the angel said to me, Because it beholds the lawlessness and unrighteousness of men, namely fornications, adulteries, thefts, extortions, idolatries, drunkenness, murders, strife, jealousies, evil speakings, murmurings, whisperings, divinations, and such like, which are not well pleasing to God. On account of these things it is defiled, and therefore it is renewed. So they take and they wash the crown of the sun, But thou askest concerning the bird how it is exhausted, because by restraining the rays of the sun through the fire and the burning heat of the whole day, it is exhausted thereby. For, as we said before, unless his wings were screening the rays of the sun, no living creature would be preserved. And yes, Fuzznuts and Buttons are going apeshit attacking one another right now, for some reason. And they, having retired, the night also fell, and at the same time came the chariot of the moon, along with the stars. And I, Baruch, said, Lord, show me it also, I beseech of thee, how it goes forth, where it departs, and in what form it moves along. And the angel said, Wait, and thou shalt see it also shortly. And on the morrow I also saw it in the form of a woman. Hubba hubba. And sitting on a wheeled chariot. And there was before it oxen and lambs in the chariot, and a multitude of angels in like manner. And I said, Lord, what are the oxen and the lambs? And he said to me, They are also angels. Do they have wings? And again I asked, Why is it that at one time increases? Why is it that... I'm not reading this wrong. Thought I was, but no, I'm not. Why is it that it at one time increases, but at another time decreases? And he said to me, Listen, O Baruch, this which thou seest has been written by God, beautiful as no other. And at the transgression of the first Adam, it was near to Samael, when he took the serpent as a garment, and it did not hide itself, but increased. And God was angry with it, and afflicted it, and shortened its days. And I said, How does it not also shine always, but only in the night? That's because there's a giant fucking rock that circles the earth, you idiot. And the angel said, listen, as in the presence of a king, the courtiers cannot speak freely. So the moon and the stars cannot shine in the presence of the sun. For the stars are always suspended, but they are screened by the sun, and the moon, although it is uninjured, is consumed by the heat of the sun. Hey, coincidentally, they got actual science here. The stars are or would be visible in the daytime were it not for the sun. Hey, actual fucking science there, guys. What do you know? However, they did get something wrong because you can see the moon in broad daylight at certain times of the month. And when I had learnt all these things from the archangel, he took and led me into a fourth heaven. And I saw a monotonous plain, sort of like this book, and in the middle of it, a pool of water. Wonder if we're going to get a watery tot. And there were in it multitudes of birds of all kinds, but not like those here on earth. No, these were bigly birds. But I saw a crane as great as oxen. And all the birds were great beyond those in the world. So like ox, okay, for fun, I did a quick Google flail of giant extinct birds, because we don't have any really huge fucking birds. Now, I mean, there are some big birds, but like the moa, or whatever it was called, we'll get to it, were bigger than anything we got now. And here's some of the ones that came up with. Gastornis. And this thing it lived in North America, Europe, and Asia 55 million years ago, 6.5 feet tall. Pelagornis chilensis had a wingspan of 17 feet. The first bird I mentioned was flightless. This obviously was not. It was pretty fucking big. However, Pelagornis sandersi had a wingspan of 24 feet. Another one we've got is Andalagornis. It was only 4.5 feet tall, but moas were bigger. Kellenken is another one. And it was about 10 feet tall. That's a good size fucker. Titanus walleri. Let's see here. How big are you? 8 feet tall. Hast's eagle. And it had a wingspan of 8 to 10 feet. Dinornis. This is the giant moa. This is the one I was thinking of. About 12 feet tall. Argentavis had a wingspan of 23 feet. So that's a big fucker. And the illustration of it kind of makes it look like a vulture. I'll try to remember to put that link in the show notes. So with that information in mind, and who the fuck knows how big an ostrich is, I'm not going to look it up, let's see if these birds are described as being anything larger than what actually existed. And I asked the angel, what is the plain, and what the pool, and what the multitudes of birds around it? And the angel said, listen, Baruch, the plain, which contains in it the pool and other wonders, is the place where the souls of the righteous come, when they converse, living together in choirs. But the water is that which the clouds receive and rain upon the earth, and the fruits increase. And I said again to the angel of the Lord, but what are these birds? And he said to me, those are the birds which continually sing praise to the Lord. And I said, Lord, and how do men say that the water which descends in rain is from the sea? Because it's the whole cycle, it evaporates, goes up and forms into clouds and then condenses down in rain. And the angel said, the water which descends in rain, this also is from the sea and from the waters upon earth. But that which stimulates the fruits is only from the latter source. Know therefore henceforth that from this source is what is called the dew of heaven. So it's like bottled water, I guess. Only certain rain can make plants grow. And the angel took me and led me thence to a fifth heaven. Ooh. And the gate was closed. And I said, Lord, is not this gateway open that we may enter? And the angel said to me, Thou shalt not pass. No. We cannot enter until Michael comes, who holds the keys of the kingdom of heaven. But wait, and thou shalt see the glory of God. And there was a great sound as thunder. And I said, Lord, what is this sound? And he said to me, Even now Michael, the commander of the angels, comes down to receive the prayers of men. And behold, a voice came, Let the gates be opened. And they opened them, and there was a roar as of thunder. And Michael came, and the angel who was with me came face to face with him and said, Hail, Caesar! No, hail, my commander, and that of all our order. And the commander Michael said, Hail myself! No, hail thou also, our brother, and the interpreter of the revelations to those who pass through life virtuously. And having saluted one another thus, they stood still, and I saw the commander Michael said, Hail thou also, our brother, and the interpreter of the revelations to those who pass through life virtuously. No. And having saluted one another thus, they stood still. And I saw the commander Michael holding an exceedingly great vessel, its depth. No, that is a fucking repeat. God damn it, that's why I screwed this shit up. And having saluted one another thus, they stood still. And I saw the commander Michael said, Hail thou also, our brother, and the interpreter of the revelation to those who pass through life virtuously. God damn it, I have fucked this shit up. And having saluted one another thus, they stood still. This thing fucking repeats itself. That's why I'm having problems here. And I saw the commander Michael said, Hail thou also, our brother, and the interpreter of the revelation to those who pass through life virtuously. And this is a repeat. I'm going to leave this in. I am not going to attempt to edit this out because I want everybody to see the kind of shit I have to go through dealing with this shit. But also because without knowing the repetitions, you have no idea what this thing is like. And Fuzznuts did something that I have to investigate. And the angel took me and led me thence to a fifth heaven, and the gate was closed. And I said, Lord, is this not gateway open that we may enter? And the angel said to me, We cannot enter until Michael comes, who holds the keys of the kingdom of heaven. But wait, and thou shalt see the glory of God. And there was a great sound as thunder. And I said, Lord, what is this sound? And he said to me, Even now, Michael, the commander of the angels, comes down to receive the prayers of men. And behold, a voice came, Let the gates be opened. And they opened them. And there was a roar as of thunder. And Michael came, and the angel who was with me came face to face with him and said, Hail, my commander, and that of all our order. And the commander Michael said, Hail thou also, our brother, and the interpreter of the revelations to those who pass through life virtuously. And having saluted one another thus, they stood still. Now brace yourself, this shit's going to get confusing. And I saw the commander Michael said, Hail thou also, our brother, and the interpreter of the revelations to those who pass through life virtuously. No, I didn't fuck up. The text repeats itself. And having saluted one another thus, they stood still. Again, the text repeats itself. And I saw the commander Michael holding an exceedingly great vessel. Its depth was as great as the distance from heaven to earth, and its breadth as great as the distance from north to south. Again, we've established this is just under 12,500 miles. And I said, Lord, what is that which Michael the archangel is holding? And he said to me, this is where the merits of the righteous enter, and such good works as they do, which are escorted before the heavenly God. I don't understand. And as I was conversing with them, behold, angels came bearing baskets full of flowers. And they gave them to Michael. And I asked the angel, Lord, who are these, and what are the things brought hither from beside them? And he said to me, these are angels who are over the righteous. And the archangel took the baskets and cast them into the vessel. And the angel said to me, these flowers are the merits of the righteous. Wow. And I saw other angels bearing baskets which were neither empty nor full. And they began to lament and did not venture to draw near, because they had not the prizes complete. And Michael cried and said, come hither also, ye angels, bring what ye have brought. And Michael was exceedingly grieved, and the angel who was with me, because they did not fill the vessel. Now I'm kind of picturing God as Blake from Glengarry, Glen Ross.
Because we're adding a little something to this month's sales contest. As you all know, first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado. Anybody want to see second prize? Second prize is a set of steak knives. Third prize is you're fired. You get the picture? You laughing now?
And then came in like manner other angels, weeping and wailing, saying with fear, behold, how we are overclouded, Lord, O Lord, for we were delivered to evil men, and we wish to depart from them. And Michael said, ye cannot depart from them, in order that the enemy may not prevail to the end. But say to me what ye ask. And they said, we pray thee, Michael, our commander, transfer us from them, for we cannot abide with wicked and foolish men. For there is nothing good in them, but every kind of unrighteousness and greed. For we do not behold them entering into church at all, nor among spiritual fathers, nor into any good work. But where there is murder, there also are they in the midst, and where are fornications, adulteries, thefts, slanders, perjuries, jealousies, drunkenness, strife, envy, murmurings, whisperings, idolatry, divination, and such like, then are they workers of such works, and of others worse. Wherefore we entreat that we may depart from them. And Michael said to the angels, wait till I learn from the Lord what shall come to pass. And in that very hour Michael departed, and the doors were closed, and there was a sound as thunder. And I asked the angel, what is that sound? And he said to me, Michael is even now presenting the merits of men to God. And in that very hour Michael descended, and the gate was opened, and he brought oil. And as for the angels which brought the baskets which were full, he filled them with oil, saying, take it away, reward our friends an hundredfold, and those who have laboriously wrought good works. For those who sowed virtuously also reaped virtuously. And he said also to those bringing half-empty baskets, come hither ye also, and take away the reward according as ye brought, and deliver it to the sons of men. Then he said also to those who brought forth the full, and to those who brought the half-empty baskets, go and bless our friends, and say to them that thus saith the Lord, ye are faithful over a few things, I will set you over many things, and enter into the joy of your Lord. And turning, he said also to those who brought nothing, thus saith the Lord, be not sad of countenance, and weep not, nor let the sons of men alone, but since they angered me in their works, go and make them envious and angry, and provoked against a people that is no people, a people that has no understanding. Further, beside these, send forth the caterpillar, and the unwinged locust, and the mildew, and the common locust, and hail with lightnings and anger, and punish them severely with the sword and with death, and their children with demons, for they did not hearken to my voice, nor did they observe my commandments, nor do them, but were despisers of my commandments, and insolent toward the priests who proclaimed my words to them. And while he yet spake, the door was closed, and we withdrew. And the angel took me and restored me to the place where I was at the beginning. And having come to myself, I gave glory to God, who counted me worthy of such honor. Wherefore do ye also, brethren, who obtained such a revelation, you yourselves also glorify God, so that he may also glorify you, now and ever, and to all eternity. Amen. And that is it for third Baruch. Amazing. So, we got to the gates of fifth heaven, but we didn't get to go inside. Bummer. Well, I'll wrap this up here. Next episode will probably be a news episode. I know I promised to put out an interview. I just haven't had time to edit it. I will do that when I can. Yes, Fuzznuts, that may go out instead of the news episode. Just have to see how the week rolls. I thank y'all for listening.
That's it for this episode of The Atheist in the Trailer Park Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, as well as just about anywhere else podcasts can be found. Many of the episodes are also on YouTube. Follow the show on Twitter. @TParkAtheist is the show's Twitter handle. It's on Facebook at facebook.com/trailerparkatheist.com. If you happen to like the podcast, please rate it on iTunes. If you'd like to support the podcast, there's a donate button on the show notes page. You can support it via Patreon at patreon.com/TNTucker. Thanks for listening.
Say goodnight, Fuzznuts.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
Damned cat.